Hi, welcome back to Quilt Remix. My name is Kelly Bowser, and I'm here today, unexpectedly, with Erin Russek. And Erin is just so graciously decided to fill in for us because due to unforeseen circumstances, Valori Wells, who is a gorgeous fabric and pattern designer, could not be here, but Erin is, and she's super talented and experienced. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Erin.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I am an editor at Quiltmaker magazine. I have worked here in the Golden Office for almost 5 years now. I've been quilting for over 30 years. I started when I was a student.
Did you teach yourself?
I did teach myself because I was poor.
Impressive.
I was a poor student.
Well, a lot of people learn from their families, from their grandmothers and moms. And all
yeah,
that.
no quilters in my family. I'm the first one.
Oh, there you go.
And so I have a lifelong love of quilting. I've done it more than I've done anything else in my life. And so I have done everything from just quilting while my kids were little to writing a blog to writing for the magazine, and I love writing for the magazine. But I also like designing projects for the magazine and for myself. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Valori has some big shoes to fill, but it's fun to be here.
All right, thank you. And today we're going to be discussing our remix versions of Walnut Grove, which is a beautiful Dresden quilt by Kathy Delaney, and it's in the Love of Quilting September-October 2016 issue of the magazine. And her quilt is gorgeous. It's very traditional and like beautiful hand-turn Dresdens.
It's very pretty.
So,
yes.
and I love Dresdens, but I wanted to kind of give my version, a little bit more modernized version. And the Millefiori, we always have a hard time saying this. We were practicing before the camera.
We had to look it up.
We did have to look it up. And the Millefiori is sort of a trend now, at least with some of my online friends. And I have a friend, Alexandra, on Instagram, and her IG is AlexOUQ, I believe. And she makes these gorgeous Millefiori quilts with like modern fabrics, and they're just stunning, but I don't have that kind of patience.
They would require a bit of patience.
Right, to make a whole quilt like that. Maybe a mini quilt, but not a whole quilt. So I decided to make it with Dresden. So I used a huge Dresden ruler to create a 24-inch block. And just to give you a little bit of scale, the original Walnut Grove quilt is a 13-inch block. So I supersized it there a bit. Yeah. And I set it in a lot of negative space because I have a very trusted long arm quilter. It's very important to trust your long armor. And I just let her loose and let her quilt how she wanted, and I love how it came out so like fresh and bright and fun.
Yeah, and then the quilting really adds to a Dresden.
Oh, absolutely,
it really does.
Absolutely. And then we're going to show you Valori's quilt. Even though Valori's not here, she graciously sent us the inspiration for her quilt. And can we show the quilt here? This is a gorgeous, gorgeous, her interpretation of Dresden, which I love that she made this almost like rectangular or oblong. It's just unbelievable. So I'm going to read. Valori sent her little inspiration story, and we found it was so awesome that we just had to read it word for word because it was truly inspiring.
It is a very neat story, actually.
That she came up with. All right. So the name of her quilt is Turn Right at the Blue Door, and was inspired by a recent trip to Marrakesh, Morocco. My husband and I had just returned from our trip when I was given the curved Dresden plate as my quilt to remix. The last leg of our adventure landed us at a beautiful riad in the Medina of Marrakesh. The winding streets and alleys of the Medina can get very confusing, so we always find landmarks to know where to turn. We knew we had to turn right at the blue door to get to our riad, Riad Du. Once you turn right, you travel down an alley to this door and the very friendly manager of the riad. When you first walk through the streets of Marrakesh, you are underwhelmed by the simple architecture, but you do notice that the amazing doors. This is because Moroccans are modest people and don't believe in showing their wealth. But if you are lucky enough to be invited into their home, you are transported to another world. I thought about the quilt I needed to remix as my blue door. I drafted a large oblong-shaped block for the centers of the door panels. I pulled all the blues of Morocco to create the petals and backgrounds of the blocks. The backgrounds are a subtle change of dark indigo blues. We'd been traveling in Morocco because I was teaching block printing at an artist retreat in Marrakesh for a week. That's a nice trip, right?
Yeah.
And this quilt had to have block printing, and the door to Riyadh had some amazing carving that could easily be created into a block. I cut 3 different blocks to create the sashing and border prints. I've always loved quilting my quilts because it gives me the opportunity to continue the story or design with thread. For this quilt, I quilted loosely around the block printed design for each petal, and the backgrounds were quilted in likeness to intricate Moroccan designs, but with my flair. So I just absolutely adore this quilt, and I loved the story behind it. And she just did such a great job. I mean, I think she even hand-turned the edge, which is what you like to do. And it's just so beautiful and such a unique design. And then the block printing added just such a personal touch. And she just created a fantastic quilt. And I'm so sad she wasn't here, but thank you, Valori, for sharing your amazing story with us. And next up, it will be my remix version, and I will show you how to create my Millefiori dresdens.
This episode of Quilt Remix Vintage Pattern Modern Twist is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Tin Lizzie 18, your affordable long arm quilters. Inganero, because fabric should be fun. Madeira, color your life. Aliso Smart Irons, fabric care reinvented for you. And Quilters Select, made specifically for quilters. Furniture for Quilt Remix was provided by Koala, fine sewing furniture custom built for you.